Hello, I'm Sensei Alex Kakuya. Thank you for joining me for meditation and sutra study. This evening's practice will consist of a 15-minute guided meditation, a reading from the Nirvana Sutra, followed by a Dharma talk. The title of today's talk will be Skillful Means in Buddhist Sacraments. Before we get into that, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when I post talks in the future. Also, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, that'd be great too. So, we'll start this evening with the guided meditation. I'll give you a moment to get into a comfortable position. My only rule is that your back needs to be straight. You need to be able to breathe freely. And if you do choose to lie down, please don't fall asleep. If you'd like some instruction, back straight, chin slightly tucked. Left hand goes in the lap, palm up. Right hand goes over the left. And we'll begin by breathing in and out through the nose. Breathing in this way sends a signal to our parasympathetic nervous system that we're safe, that we can relax. Helps the body and the mind become nice and calm. So we're just going to do this for about a minute. We're just going to breathe. And as we continue breathing on every inhale, we push out the belly button slightly, as if we just had a large meal. And then we relax on the exhale. This creates more space for the diaphragm to expand, so we can bring more air into our lungs. Once again, signaling our body that we're safe, that we can relax. Good work. Now we'll continue with the meditation by focusing on our breath. Breathing in and out through the nose, feeling the air coming in through our nostrils and going down our throat. The feeling of our belly button going in and out, the expansion and contraction of our diaphragm. And we'll do this for about a minute. I'll keep time, no need to worry about that. And if our thoughts wander, that's okay. We simply say hello to them and bring our focus back to the physical sensations of our breathing. Wonderful. Now, as we continue breathing, we're going to add a visualization to our exercise. We'll visualize a fire in our belly, in the space right behind our belly button. And this fire is our favorite color. If we like blue, the fire is blue. If we like green, the fire is green. With every inhale, we bring the air into our lungs. With every exhale, we blow on that fire just like we would a campfire, making it bigger and brighter with every breath. This fire represents our spiritual power, our enlightened nature. We're just going to spend the next minute breathing on this fire, making our spiritual power as big and as bright as we can. And if our mind wanders, that's okay. We simply say hello to our thoughts, bring our focus back to the breath and the visualization. Good work. Now we'll continue with the visualization by sending a channel of energy down from our belly, down, down, down into the center of the earth. And when we reach the center of the earth, we find an energy there that's identical to our own. So if the energy in our belly is blue, the earth's energy is blue. If the energy is green, our earth's energy is green. With every breath, we're going to start pulling the energy of the earth into ourselves. So every inhale, we pull energy up from the earth, up, up, up to our belly. And every exhale, we blow on that energy, adding it to our fire, adding it to our spiritual power, making it bigger and brighter with every breath. We breathe in, the energy comes up to our belly. We breathe out, we blow on that energy, magnifying it. We'll do this for about a minute. I'll keep time. Good work. Now we'll send an identical energy channel up from our belly as we continue to breathe in and out through the nose. Up, 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 past our solar plexus, past our throat, all the way up to the top of our head. And what we'll do is with every inhale, we'll pull energy up from the earth, storing it behind our belly button. And with every exhale, we'll push that energy up, push our spiritual power up, 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 out of the top of our head so it explodes like a volcano, covering every inch of our body with healing spiritual light. We breathe in, we pull energy up to our belly. We exhale, we push it out the top of our head, covering ourselves with healing spiritual light. We'll do this for about a minute. I'll keep time. And if our mind wanders, that's okay. We say hello to our thoughts and bring our focus back to our breathing. Excellent. Good work. Everyone sitting so quietly, so still. As we continue to breathe, maybe we send a silent thank you to the earth for supporting us in our practice today, just like it supported the Buddha 2,600 years ago. And now it's time to bring our meditation to a close. We start by slowly pulling the energy up back from the top of our head. With every breath, it barely reaches our nose, barely reaches our throat, barely reaches our solar plexus. And finally, it rests in our belly. And then we close off the energy channel to the top of our head. And we reach down to the center of the earth, noting that the power is always there if we need to call upon it. We pull that energy channel up into ourselves until everything is resting right where it started in our belly, the seat of our spiritual power. And noticing that once again we can call on that energy whenever we like. We slowly come back into our bodies, moving our heads to the left and to the right, back and forth slowly. Till we finally come back to center. We roll our shoulders forward. And back. Till finally they hang loosely at our sides. And when we're ready, and only when we're ready, if our eyes are closed, we open them. I'll give you about 30 seconds to do that. Amitabha. That was great. Now we will move on to the sutra study for this evening. We'll be continuing our study of the Nirvana Sutra. It's not necessary to have a copy of the sutra, but if you'd like to follow along, I'm using the BDK English Tripitaka translation. And I'll be reading from page 215. Good man. If people have never heard of the profound hidden Tathagata's treasury, how could they be aware of the existence of Buddha nature? What is it that I am calling a hidden treasury? I am talking about the well-balanced Mahayana scriptures themselves, good man. There are other paths. Some expound a self that is permanent. Some expound a self that is cut off permanently at death. The Tathagata is not like them. In affirming both self and non-self, I call it the middle path. One way of explaining this is that the Buddha expounds a middle path in which all living beings possess Buddha nature. Because it is obscured by defilements, they do not understand it and do not see it. Therefore, you must diligently cultivate whatever expedient means you can in order to destroy these defilements. Know that the person who effectively states things in this way will not be guilty of any of the 4 grave offenses. To not effectively state things in this way, I declare to be guilty of a parajika offense. You may encounter someone who says, I have already attained Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. Why? Because I possess Buddha nature. Those who possess Buddha nature will definitely attain unsurpassed perfect enlightenment without fail. So, by this reasoning, I have already attained awakening, Bodhi. You should recognize this person as having committed what I call a parajika offense. Why? Although one may have Buddha nature without cultivating one's understanding of skillful means, one will therefore not see it. And never having seen it, one skillfully cannot attain Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. Good man, understand the implications here. The Buddha's Dharma is exceedingly profound. It is inconceivable. The Bodhisattva Kashyapa then addressed the Buddha again and asked, World Honor One, there is a king who has asked, when can we say a bhikshu has fallen into the transgression of overstating his religious achievements? The Buddha said to Kashyapa, if a bhikshu engages in flattery, guile, or false sanctity for purposes of personal gain, even just for food or drink, he will be thinking, how can I get people in society to think I am indeed a genuine alms beggar with religious intent? How could I use that situation to enable me to obtain fortune and fame. Bhikshus such as these suffer from serious delusion. Throughout the long night, they will be continually thinking, the truth is that I will never attain the fruit of any of the four paths of a sramana. So what can I do to get people in society to say that I have? How can I get all the laymen and lay women to point to me and say, that is man replete with merit, a true saint? This kind of thinking reflects one who seeks profit solely for himself. He is not devoted to the Dharma. When people pass by him or go in and out of his vicinity, they halt and look at him closely, seeing how he holds his robe and almost begging bowl without breaking the rules of deportment, how he sits in a solitary place just like an arhat. This sight may cause worldly people also to remark, bhikshus like that are the best of the lot. They diligently pursue austere practices, cultivating a dharma of tranquility. So, there's a lot going on with this passage. Essentially, the Buddha is starting by taking on two extremes. The extreme of materialism and the extreme of eternalism, both of which were popular during his time and frankly are still popular today. Eternalism states that there is a permanent thing, a soul that every individual has that continues on through eternity, that it's permanent and it's unchanging, moving from life to life. In Hinduism, this is called Atman. Materialism, on the other hand, says that there is nothing permanent, that there's nothing beyond the material world. And once we die, we're dead, and that's it. Sometimes people mistake the Buddhist teaching of anatta, or non-self, for this strictly materialist view. There's nothing here, there's no one here. It's over when it's over. Other times, people take the Buddhist view of rebirth and reincarnation as eternalism. That there's a permanent soul, that it's undying, that travels from life to life. Both of these views are incorrect from the Buddhist viewpoint. What the Buddha teaches and what he discusses in the passage is something called the middle way. All beings have Buddha nature, meaning we are tied to the Tathagata Garbha, or womb matrix of the Dharma, of the Buddha, also called the Dharmakaya. At the same time, we have human bodies that have defilements, bodies that are of nature to be born, to grow old, to get sick, and to die. So one could say we have a foot in both worlds, both the eternalist view and the materialist view. We have a Buddha nature that is, one could say, permanent because the Dharmakaya is always here. But we also have physical bodies that are material, that are constantly changing. So what do we do? Well, the middle way that Buddha teaches between eternalism and materialism is to acknowledge both. Yes, we have Buddha nature. We are Buddhas. However, we also have physical bodies that are given to suffering, that have defilements, namely greed, anger, and ignorance, which are the three poisons. So how do we live in both of these worlds simultaneously? Having a Buddha self that is enlightened and having a human self that is not. We do this through the practice of skillful means, or upaya. And skillful means essentially are ways for us to live in these physical bodies in ways that do not cause unnecessary suffering for ourselves and others, that remove the delusions and the defilements from our minds, greed, anger, and ignorance, purifying our body, speech, and thoughts, so our Buddha nature comes forth and is manifested out into the world. What the Buddha is saying here is that it's one thing to be a Buddha, it's another thing to act like a Buddha. And again, because we have physical bodies, because we are what's called in Buddhism Nirmanakaya, or physical Buddhas, we have to do this. We have to practice skillful means. And then he goes on to warn us against this idea that, well, I'm already a Buddha, I'm already enlightened, there's nothing I have to do. He calls it a parajika offense, which is a minor offense. It's a problem, but it's not bad enough where you'll be kicked out of the Sangha. It's simply incorrect thinking. We are Buddhas, but we have to use skillful means to learn how to act like Buddhas, to manifest that Buddha nature in daily life. And of course, this begs this question, what is skillful means? Well, skillful means in Buddhism often take the form of sacraments, rituals and traditions that are designed to tie together these two halves of our existence, the human self and the Buddha self, so that become one. More than that, to tie together our spiritual life and our everyday life. So once again, they become one. And these sacraments take a number of forms. Seated meditation, like we did earlier, is skillful means. It's a sacrament. Having an altar and cleaning that altar is a sacrament. Bowing, chanting, sutra studies, all of these are skillful means. All of these are sacraments that are meant to push us away from our defiled minds and towards our Buddha minds. Now that word sacrament, however, is very important. What is a sacrament? Well, that's simply paying attention to and venerating something that's sacred. Now going back to this idea of eternalism versus materialism, when we talk about something being sacred, we in the West often have either an eternalist or a materialist view, meaning we think something is sacred because there's something inherent in it that makes it so. Some material that it's made out of, some provenance in its history. It's sacred because it's sacred and it will always be sacred. That's eternalism. On the flip side, we have materialism, which says that nothing is sacred. It's just made out of atoms and wood and plastic and clay. Nothing but the sum of its parts. We in Buddhism, however, take a different view of sacraments, a different view of sacredness. Now, we believe that everything has Buddha nature. You, me, the skies, trees. So in that way, everything is sacred. But at the same time, everything has physical nature, which means everything is also defiled. Sacred and defiled at the same time. So we have to use skillful means in order to recognize the sacredness in all things. This is where the sacraments come in. The room I'm sitting in now is a meditation hall. But what makes a meditation hall sacred? If someone who wasn't Buddhist, knew nothing about my practice, walked into this room, they'd have no idea. Well, maybe they would because of the altar, but maybe not. What would make it sacred to them? Well, what makes it sacred to me is that I bow each time I enter and exit this hall. What makes my altar sacred is that I bow before it several times a day. I venerate and honor it, and I clean it regularly. What makes these robes sacred? It's just cloth in the materialist view. And it is cloth, but it's also sacred. Why? Because I treat it in a sacred manner. I say a short prayer each time I put it on and take it off. I keep it in a special place so I won't be harmed. I keep it clean and tidy. When we treat things like they're sacred, they become sacred. And in the Buddhist view, everything is sacred. Everything is worthy of our praise and our veneration. So we slowly learn how to make everything in our life a sacrament. And we start here in the meditation hall by bowing, chanting, doing meditation and sutra study. And after that, we extend these sacraments, these skillful means, into the rest of our lives. Cleaning the altar is sacred. Washing the dishes, also sacred. My robes are sacred. My jeans and my t-shirt, also sacred. And as we learn to treat everything in our life as a sacrament, life becomes simpler, more content. Why? Because we're slowly getting rid of that defiled mind that the Buddha warns us about. And we're paying more attention to the sacred mind, the Buddha mind, not only in ourselves, but in all of creation. This is the middle way of Buddhism, the middle way between hedonism and asceticism, between materialism and eternalism. We recognize that everything is material, and we recognize that everything is sacred. This robe is just a piece of cloth, and it is the flesh and blood of the Buddha, all at the same time. And as we learn to practice and see the Buddha within ourselves, we learn to see and practice with the Buddha in all things. Everyday life and spiritual life become one. Physical self and Buddha self become one. Amitabha. So that's it for today's talk. I hope it was helpful. I'll end with a few announcements. So this is Meditation and Sutra Study. New videos will be posted every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. So again, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when the videos get loaded to YouTube. Also, we'll be doing Dharma Sunday every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Same channel. Only difference is that will only consist of a reading from pop culture, sports, everyday life, followed by a Dharma talk. Same channel, 6:30 p.m. Eastern if you'd like to join me. So that's it for today. Until next time, Amitabha.